This happened during a road trip I was taking from a small town in Maine all the way toward the Midwest. Let us just say there was some stuff happening with my family that made me feel like I needed to go out and stay with them for a bit. Because of that, the whole trip was kind of rushed and poorly planned. Normally, I wouldn't even drive that far. I'd usually just book a flight and be done with it. But anyway, on my second day on the road, I realized I was starting to fall behind schedule. I guess all the gas station stops, food breaks, and just stopping to rest took way more time than I expected. So, I decided to try and make up for the lost time by pushing myself to drive later into the night. By that point, I was already deep into the Midwest, where there's basically nothing around, just endless straight, flat, empty roads stretching out for miles. The rain started coming down slowly at first, but by the time it got dark, it had turned into a full-on wind and thunderstorm. I actually like driving in the rain most of the time, but doing it at night in the middle of nowhere is a completely different feeling. It got bad enough that I decided to pull off at the next rest stop to wait and see if the storm would calm down before I kept going. I don't really know much about rest stops or have many to compare it to, but this one seemed pretty decent to me. It was completely quiet except for the sound of the rain. No cars, no trucks, nothing. And when I ran inside to use the restroom, it was surprisingly clean and nice. I got back into my car, leaned the seat back, and decided to wait for a bit. I'm not sure how long I was there, because at some point I ended up falling asleep. I woke up what felt like about an hour later to a bright flash of light, followed by the entire car shaking and a massive lightning strike that felt like it burst my eardrums. I sat up and checked the time. It was 12:05 a.m. Then I started looking around. There were still no cars out there, and the storm had gotten even worse. Or maybe it just felt worse because it was so loud. As I woke up more and started really listening, I began to think it sounded way too loud, like something about it wasn't right. I looked behind my seat and completely froze for a second. One of the back doors was open. The passenger side door was slightly cracked open. Water was dripping onto the seats, and that entire side of the car was soaked. So it had clearly been open for a while. I had no idea how that was even possible. There was no way I had been driving for hours with that door open, and I definitely never opened it while I was at the rest stop. And obviously, there was no chance it just opened by itself. I did a double take and scanned the parking lot again, but there wasn't a single person, car, or anything else out there. My heart started racing as I stepped out, shut the door as fast as I could, and climbed back into the car. I figured I'd probably left my car unlocked when I went inside to use the restroom, being distracted by the storm and everything else going on. But who opened my door? And from what I could tell, nothing was missing. It felt like someone walked up, noticed I was asleep, quietly opened the door, got in for a moment, and then just left, probably trying not to wake me up by slamming it shut. I don't know what actually happened while I was sleeping, but I was way too freaked out to stay there. I started the car and pulled back onto the highway. It was still dangerous to be driving in that kind of weather, but I just needed to reach another place where I could pull over. I drove for about 20 minutes, thinking the entire time about how strange and unsettling the whole situation was, before I came across a gas station. It was sitting alone just off the highway. I honestly have no idea if it was closed for the night or completely abandoned, but I decided it didn't matter. I wasn't planning to stay long, and I definitely wasn't going to fall asleep again. I just needed somewhere to wait out the storm. I parked right in front of the building. The place looked about as creepy as you're probably imagining. All the lights were off, and with the rain pouring down, I could barely see anything that wasn't directly lit up by my headlights. I didn't have any service out there, so there wasn't much I could do on my phone. I locked the doors and just sat there, staring out at the fog and rain. Only about 20 minutes passed when I felt myself starting to zone out again, so I looked around to keep my mind busy, and that's when I noticed another car. It was parked just a couple of spaces away from me. dark black with tinted windows and all of its lights turned off. I never saw it pull in. I couldn't help but wonder, was this person actually following me? I'd never seen them before, but two extremely strange things happening in the middle of nowhere during a storm. That felt like way too big of a coincidence. I jumped and spun around to see a figure right by the window. The second he saw me looking, he moved away and disappeared somewhere behind my car. My heart was pounding. This confirmed it. Thank God I locked it this time. I was completely shaken, fumbling with the headlights, trying to see into the darkness behind me. That's when I started to hear it and feel it thumps hitting the back of my car. He was still there, hitting my car, messing with something. That's when I checked the back of my car. There were scratches, dents, and pry marks all over the trunk, like someone had used a knife to try and force it open. If he just wanted to rob me, why not do it when he opened the door at the rest stop while I was asleep? All I know is it terrified me, and it could have ended so much worse.